Andy and Sean, share with us what were your prediction going into the season? What did you realistically think USC's record was going to be?
Like a lot of folks, I thought 9-3 was achievable. Once I saw Caleb Williams play, I mean, I loved the Lincoln Riley news. I loved the transfer portal news. I just got excited. But like everybody, my expectations started to go up with every transfer portal commitment. And then it was like, well, what is possible? But theory and reality are so different, man. Paper versus, the spreadsheet reality versus playing field reality. But once it started to unfold, and what were you going to take to the bank with Rice? I mean, were you going to build your whole season of expectations on that? But yeah, I thought 9-3, like I could live with that, given where we were last year. Because I talk about tapping into emotions. I'm trying to remember what I was feeling last year at this time.
Yes, exactly.
And if I put those two things next to each other, I'm a happy camper.
Jeffrey, arts and crafts.
Sean,
I don't have an Ole Miss hat, man. All
Gigster Squid is here as excuses. And Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley don't deal in excuses.
Hey, I will say on that, I know this is USC, but I will say on that game, man, Utah definitely is looking a little, I don't know.
Beatable.
I mean, yeah, again, that's why I'm saying USC can beat them because, I mean, I just thought UCLA coming off a tough Washington game where they got the win and Utah kind of just ran over Oregon State. I thought they'd win, but, man, I was wrong. I mean, yeah, like I said, if I had an Ole Miss hat, I'd put it on, man. I would, but I don't have one.
Guys, some of you guys from our show, we'll try to put in the link in the chat in just a second. If you don't follow Jeffrey's channel, Only Talk Sports, Jeffrey does a great job every day covering teams from around the country. Far better than people who have done this for a living for years. So, Jeffrey, I want to give you Trojan John's question. How did you like that Texas Chainsaw Massacre today?
Yeah, actually, I don't want to sound dumb, but I don't even know what you're talking about. So, can you refresh me on that?
Texas 49, Boomer Sooner.
Okay. I didn't get the yes. I just
He's too young to remember the original movie.
Okay, yeah, I don't watch rated R movies. Okay, I get it now. Texas bludgeoning Oklahoma. That's my toughest word. I usually use bludgeon. Yeah, that was ugly. I just talked about it with Mark over on the main channel, man. I was like, I mean, my thing is about Oklahoma is that why, if you got a defensive coordinator coach now in Brent Venables, he was defensive coordinator at Clemson, and their defense at Oklahoma is awful. I don't understand why they can't stop any team. And obviously Dylan Gabriel's hurt, but still, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it definitely is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was, ugly, very ugly, and definitely probably the worst result of the day for any team just by how embarrassing it was, because Oklahoma they don't ever get blown out like that. And obviously they've dominated the Texas rivalry recently anyway. So yeah, that was ugly.
And by the way, speaking of things that are ugly, guys, friend of the show, the Stanford Tree, dancing around in his new costume tonight. Stanford is beating Oregon State right now, 10-7.
Woof.
So
I don't know if you guys watched my video on that game, but I picked Oregon State. So I like Stanford a lot, but I'm kind of hoping Oregon State wins. So my videos, I'll go 8-2. But yeah, Stanford, man, I mean, they've played awful to start this season, but I guess Oregon State has been kind of reeling because I'm not watching the game right now because usually when I go on with you guys, I try to keep the TV off because it makes the connection better or whatever, because I got streaming and all that. But who's playing quarterback for Oregon State?
I'm not sure because I have to look at that. Somebody in the chat who's watching the game, chime in on that in the chat because I can't see right now. Stanford has the ball. I'm just sort of watching out of the corner of my eye while I talk to you guys. Hey guys, we're also bringing in real quick Austin Williams, another good friend of the show. Austin, welcome. Austin, what did you think about the Trojans today?
Hey, congratulations on the win, fellas. Fight on, as y'all like to say.
Thank you. Fight on to you. What did you think? What did you think of Washington State? As good as we expected?
that first half, they showed very good signs of that. Especially Cam Ward. He threw a nice pass that ended up somehow being caught. I don't know how that running back caught it. That's just incredible to
my
me.
PTSD.
And it ended up being a PI anyway, so.
And he still caught it while sitting on his butt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was
yeah,
quite a pass.
Yeah. But after that, though, after the first half was over, USC went into the half up 3. Second half, the defense stepped up, the offense made the plays, and y'all took care of business.
We'll take it, right?
Yeah, that was a fluke play. That was a fluke play. That was the first play right after Kalen Bullock got kicked out for targeting, which was a very, very questionable call. I don't know what, Andy, what you thought about that on TV. I mean, I thought he hit him at pad level from where I was sitting. And then, credit, I said earlier, credit Jake Dickert, the Washington State coach. He went right at Anthony Beavers on that next play, and that was the play you got. It was pass interference. He made a miraculous catch. Kudos to him, because if that's a pass interference call and he doesn't catch the ball, it's a 15-yard penalty. And they went in and got their touchdown. But that's football. Stuff like that happens. It's just another example of the Pac-12 refs we've been dealing with forever. And if anything, slow down the energy in that stadium. It was the Pac-12 refs and all of the review calls.
Yeah,
real quick, Sean had to take off. Sean, thanks for calling in. Definitely give us a buzz next week for sure, too.
I was just going to say my take on the targeting was that any player under 5 feet should be disqualified from being the victim of targeting, because there's no way your average D1 defensive player is going to get low enough to never be called for targeting. I mean, the dude's what, 5'6", 5'7"?
He's about 5'7", maybe.
Yeah, and hunched over and running. I mean, you'd have to get on all fours to not target the guy. So it was, come on, it was.
I think you could be on all fours and still be targeting. Eric Gentry could be on all fours and still be targeting.
He'd have to lay down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of a weird issue. I think they need to. I think that they need to relook at that. Of course, that was in the first half, though, right? So we don't have a lingering after effect.
Right, he's back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought targeting was if you led with the crown of your helmet. Or is that not what it is in college?
I think it's helmet, forearm, or shoulder. But if you target the head or neck area, you could be called for it.
And the problem is this guy's so short that you can't really not hit the helmet,
right?
Because he's 5'6".
So you just got to slide and leg whip him.
We were speaking
about which, by the way, as we saw from the game the other night last week was it the UCLA game? I think is also a penalty.
Yeah, tripping.
Yeah,
I think you just have to go hockey goalie on all these guys. Just lay down and flail and.
Exactly. Oh.
Yeah, like I said,
guys, we got Chris gave us the right interpretation. Or if you hit the crap out of someone and you play in the Pac-12, that's also targeting.
Yes,
that's right.
I almost didn't come on because of the fact that I didn't watch any of the games, so I didn't want to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. I didn't get to see any of the game, and I will watch the Utah game, USC Utah game next week, because of the fact that I don't think Alabama's going to be on at the same time, so I don't have that commitment with my dad there, but because Alabama's at 3:30. But my problem with targeting anyway is, like you guys are talking about, I don't like the fact that when an offensive player ducks his head, sometimes the defensive player, you're going to hit the head. You can't help it. And it's like they'll never call targeting on the offensive player. It's always the defensive player's fault, but a lot of times targeting only happens because of what the offensive player does. It's not really fair, and targeting is a very inconsistent call anyway, because I've seen plays where they've almost knocked the guy's head off and he's limping and he's hurt and the guy's going off the field and they don't call anything. And then you got plays where you barely tip the helmet, they call targeting, and then the guy, if it's quarterback or whoever's fine. It's like, why call the targeting and kick someone out of a game on a play that didn't even affect the player versus a play where the guy's halfway injured and probably can't even play in the game anymore, and they call it targeting. I don't think that's fair.
I agree with you. Real quick to Trojan John. When you look at, and I don't know if you were at the game or you had a good enough TV or whatever. His knee was down in the safety before the half. Was not a safety. His knee did hit the ground before the ball came out.
I had to watch that like 6 times because the best angle on his knee was the worst angle for the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But one of them it made it so it really was.